Join the Discord server for some cool shit. No, seriously, do it, please.
Gordon! Gordon! Gordon!
Gordon?
Wait up!
Gordon?
Gordon! Gordon!
You're not Gordon?
Gordon?
I ain't no
Gordon?
I'm a
It's Frieda.
for dang sake! Turn on your light, you moron!
Hey everyone, JQ here. Welcome back to another take-along custom showcase. Last time we looked at the narrow gauge engine Smudger. I had quite a lot of fun with that custom, but now, gotta look at who's next. And in that case, it would be Frieda from The Great Race. Now, on my community posts, I've been teasing about this custom for quite a while now. Of course, I never actually gave away who it was, but as I progressed, it became a little more and more obvious. And it was between Frieda and Mallard that people had to guess on who it was. Don't worry, to those who guess Mallard, I will make him eventually. Now, in this custom showcase, I'm going to do things a little differently. I'm going to first go over the process of making this model, and then I'll actually show it in full. It's not a full tutorial, but it gives a lot of tips of how to make a custom like this, if you really want to. Alright, let's get started. The first thing about this model is the engines I used to make it. The two engine parts I used for this model was a spare take-along Gordon and a Murdoch tender. I still had to order a spare Gordon by this point, and with a spare Murdoch tender from a previous Stuff I Bought Today video, I decided to start working on that first. I first started to add this stuff called Nara clay to the tender. As you'll see, I used a lot of this stuff for this custom to be possible. I modified the tender quite a bit just to get it into the correct shape, and just like that, it was time to move on to the next part, painting the wheels. Painting the wheels was a little difficult as I had to do a couple coats for it to really look good. I also filled out those gaps above Murdoch's wheels because, well, Frieda just doesn't have those. It was then time to paint the rest of the tender body. I started with the top and then the main color, which is where things started to get a bit difficult. For reference, the color of Frieda is very similar to that of Thomas, being a somewhat vibrant light blue. However, the color I had was almost a pretty much baby blue essentially. It's very similar to the issues I had while making Nishima, but I opted to use a different blue, but it was a little too dark. Then again, there were wooden railway toys like that, so at least we're being consistent in some way. I then realized there were still some details missing from the tender, so I modified both the back and front and even gave her a tail lamp out of clay. By this point, the rest of the tender details were done after I got Gordon. So let's talk about how I did the face. I honestly thought the face was going to be the hardest thing about the whole project, because I really couldn't think of any female characters that had a face resembling Frieda's. I didn't have her wooden railway toy, plus I think the face would have been too big anyway. Then I thought, what if I just turn Edward into a woman? And after doing some editing with some mock-ups and all that, Edward's face actually resembles Frieda's a fair bit. I also made smoke deflectors out of clay a little while later. It was at this point when Gordon finally came to my house.
It came! It finally came!
I immediately took the model apart and started making modifications. I cut off the sides of the smoke box and then I started to expand it slightly because Frieda has a similar thing to Molly where her face doesn't completely fit her smoke box. So I made it a little bit thicker just so there's a small gap. As for everything else, it was all done with like a bunch of glue. That includes the smoke box deflectors and also the face. And the details on the face were drawn on with this fine point Sharpie. Then it was time to streamline Gordon. In addition, I also had to fill out his cab, which was very difficult to do because I didn't use enough clay for it, so it's a little out of shape. Otherwise, I continued my work using the clay, using it on both the sides and as well as the front. I also test fitted the complete smoke box to make sure it could still fit on the model. Once I was satisfied with the shape, I started to paint it. I even got all the details done pretty well. But then, there was the number. It was very difficult to do. I tried painting in all the red first and then outlining it with yellow, but it got very sloppy. So then my next plan was to use cards, cut them out, make them red, give them a yellow outlining, but they didn't look very good either. What I ended up doing was just painting them, but it was a little bit different. I decided to start with the yellow, and then do the red over it, and well, It looks okay. I think it looks fine on this side, and then this side, well, it's also okay. I added a few extra details, gave her some cab windows, and boom! Frieda is complete. And here she is, Frieda from the Great Race. This was a very weird custom to make. I had fun working on it. I can't say I didn't, but again, there obviously were several issues and complications I had with making it. Obviously, the number, I had to repaint it several times. The cab, as you can see, the little cab, the cab doesn't look very good. I think out of everything here, it's the one thing I'd want to fix. But the tender kind of obscures it anyway, so it's not the biggest deal. I actually don't mind the face. I was considering on modifying it a bit, so it had defined lips, so it looked not just like Edward, but with makeup on, but I couldn't. I think it looks fine, though. Obviously, the lining was also very difficult to do. Small details were hard to pick out. But overall, I think she turned out really nicely. Obviously, her main body was made up of a take-along Gordon. Not a surprise one. It was a normal one. But, you know. I am missing a few details, like I think her whistle's like right here, I think. I could add that at some point if I wanted to, though. And yeah, there's also her tender, which I think technically a tender like Connor's would have worked, but I don't really like pinwheel axles, so I just went with a Murdoch one. There are a few other questions, like, for instance, why did I choose Frieda of all characters, since after the Great Race, she kind of disappears. It's really, there's not really an answer for it, I just felt like making her. Plus, there's some just about blue tender engines I really like. They usually just look visually appealing to me. Like Gordon, Hank, Edward, and obviously Frieda's no exception. The wheels were a little difficult to do on the tender, but you know they look really nice. Obviously, oh, the back lamp I was gonna make out of paper, but I ended up making it out of clay, which was a little difficult to do, but it's in good shape. Obviously, glued on the windows. The what are they called? Smoke deflectors, and then yeah, the face was obviously also glued on. Because if I screwed it back on normally, the face would cover the smoke box completely. So I had to push it down a bit. Nonetheless, this might have been my favorite custom to work on so far, just because how creative I got to be with it. Oh, and in addition to her, we also have I'm not really. Yeah. You know what? Maybe we can look at this guy another day. But otherwise, here it is. My custom Gordon.
Do I look like a Gordon? My name is Frieda.
Shut up. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you all for watching the custom showcase of Frieda. Obviously, as you can see, this is a little set I made for the skit at the beginning. Hope you liked that, because I thought it was a little fun. The last thing I did for the video, but again, hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, I guess. Join the Discord server, link in the description. You should. I tease cool stuff like this. And, well, we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Hey, it's JQ. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and check out some of the other videos I have.